Let's talk about HYLIION stock. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today we have to speak about HYLIION. You're all more than likely aware at this stage that the stock went up over 22% in value in 2 trading days, Thursday and Friday. And you are more than likely also aware that it's not easy to figure out why. A simple Google search or even looking on YouTube, you're not going to find much information. Most people are telling you it's the fear of missing out, it's because the merger is going to be happening more than likely the last half of September. Institutions are getting in, blah blah blah. One thing I haven't seen anybody speak about, which is literally the most important thing that's going on in regards to HYLIION right now, is their proxy statement, the 14A that they released only a few days ago. And let me tell you something else, people. It is not easy to go through these very long, very boring forms. I have found some key pieces of information that I want to go through with you all today. Now, this video isn't going to be going through the basics, the fundamentals, etc, etc. I do have videos covering that from the past if you want to check them out, but we're going to be going through why this is happening now, why we've seen this sharp increase. I am invested in HYLIION. It's very excited. I've held it for over a month. I was down over 30%. Now I'm up over 15%. It's been a journey. Right before we get into the video, guys, please can I ask you to smash a like on this one. It genuinely took me a long time to find this information, and I had to find it in between interviewing the CFO of Workhorse and interviewing Jeremy from Financial Education and double uploading the last 2 days. Basically, that like would make me feel really good. If you're new around here, please hit that juicy red subscribe button, join the family, people. I would appreciate it so much. And please do drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about HYLIION, okay? If you're in, what your thesis is going forwards. And anyway, guys, with all of that being said, let's get into it. So this right here, guys, is where we're going to spend a good bit of our time today, okay? It's a Schedule 14A. It is an SEC filing, and you can see that it is very, very long. Thankfully, you're not going to have to read through all of it because I found some very important pieces of information that I want to share with you all. But before we even get into this, let's just go through what is actually happening right now and what is really catching people's attention. So it goes without saying, this is what's catching people's attention, okay? This 2-day run up, we were up as much as very close to 30%, okay? And we actually closed the 2 days up 22.86%, which is insane, okay? That is massive, especially when you go and do a simple Google search. There's no reason for it. Just out of thin air, the stock decided, you know what? It's time to run up. When we look at the monthly chart, okay, pretty much since the 24th of July, we have been trading sideways, people. I mean, it's been up and down a little bit within 10%. I mean, from the 27th of July, it's been extremely sideways. Now, that is coming off the back of, you know, the merger being announced. It's shooting up in value over 200% and slowly trickling back down. But we did kind of regulate between $18 to $20 a share. But again, guys, let's just remember that this seemingly came out of thin air. A few things I want to get out from the start, okay? Let's remember that HYLIION, the company itself, is not publicly traded yet. There could be a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about yet. There could be new orders coming in, things of the likes that put this company in a very strong position that we don't know about, but you never know, somebody could. Now, they shouldn't, but they could. We all already know that there is demand for, you know, HYLIION services that they're providing, okay? Agility has already pre-ordered 1,000 hybrid trucks ARXs. And more orders like this could be coming in that we simply aren't aware of yet because HYLIION don't have to make that public information right now. It's that simple. And things like this happening can skyrocket a company's valuation, people. Now, look, I don't keep up to date with Nicola, but I know at some stage this week something happened in regards to a garbage truck contract, and you can just see what that does, you know, from the bottoms of this week to where we closed up over 10% off the back of a contract. So if there's a few things like this going on behind the scenes, which a lot of people are speculating, and it's very important to remember that we're speculating, it's going to lead to an increased share price when that news comes out. In the 12A that we'll go through earlier, you'll see that the expected merger date is more than likely the back end of September. That's not far away, so a lot of people who aren't involved yet or planned on getting involved pre-merger might be getting in now. The fear of missing out could be getting very real, and that just propels the stock's price up even further. So that's the psychological side of things right now. Fear of missing out. Right now, HYLIION are, you know, renowned. We all know that they haven't released any real news in a very long time. I mean, there's been little bits and pieces here, but for the most part, us investors have been kept in the dark. I mean, if we go through their Twitter, which generally, Twitter actually is a very good place to get up-to-date information. It genuinely is, okay? August 13th, okay, so a thing on technology. Nothing that we don't already know about. August 11th, it's just a little promo video. August 7th, how would you pronounce the company's name, okay? There's not a lot going on. The last real piece of news we got was July 30th. As part of our planned merger with Shell, we're excited to share that Andrew Card, now this is an exciting piece of news, okay, will join the combined entity's board of directors pending shareholder approval. Very good man to have on the team. But again, it's nothing absolutely groundbreaking. So a couple more things, guys, on the speculation side of things. You know, a lot of people are starting to believe that big institutions know things that us retail investors don't know yet. And to be honest, that would not surprise me, okay? The volume, 8 million. The average volume, 4 million. These bars down here represent the volume, okay? Look at these insane spikes, people. I mean, these are absolutely insane trading volumes. And simply put, it's not something that retail investors could make happen. There has to be institutions involved here. And look, institutions, they're far less emotional than us retail investors, okay? They don't get the fear of missing out. That's not how this works. There is a lot more money on the table with these companies. And look, we have seen a lot of institutions get involved in this company with the past and the very present. Yahoo Finance tells us the percentage of shares outstanding held by institutions is at over 77%. One other thing I want to show you here is that the short percentage of shares outstanding is only at about 2.99%. Cambridge Investment Research Advisors invest $594,000 into Tortoise Acquisition Corp. This is actually a big piece of news, people. Again, this is one that I think a lot of people are overlooking. A lot of people aren't looking into what institutions are doing enough right now. Now, Cambridge Investment Research, okay, they have bought a lot of SPACs in the past. I wouldn't say it's necessarily what they're known for, but they have done it in the past. But the fact that it's happening now is very interesting. They acquired a new stake in Tortoise Acquisition Corp in the second quarter. The institutional investor acquired 21,650 shares of the company stock, valued at approximately $594,000. So, again, for an institution, that's not the most in the world by any means, people. But a number of other hedge funds have also recently made changes to their positions in HYLIION. Alberta Investment Management Corp grew its holdings and share of Tortoise Acquisition by 126.7% during the first quarter. They now own 850,000 shares of the company's stock, worth over $8 million, after buying an additional 475,000 shares in the last quarter. Radcliffe Capital Management acquired a new position in Tortoise Acquisition during the first quarter, worth about $2.6 million. Picton Mahoney Asset Management grew its stake in Tortoise Acquisition by 1,165% during the first quarter. So there's a lot of hedge funds, a lot of institutions that are very bullish on HYLIION, and they can make a stock's price move much more than you or me, people, especially when you look at the market cap, which I think is 700 and something million. Yeah, currently we're looking at a market cap of 712 million, and that is after that insane push to the upside as well. So these big institutions can make that price move. So a quick recap before we get into some information from this forum. The merger date is getting closer and closer, okay, which means that not only retail investors want to get in early before the stock hopefully shoots up in value, but, you know, hedge funds and institutions do as well. To an extent, with us retail investors, the fear of missing out may now be coming apparent, may now be coming into play. I mean, a lot of people have seen what have happened with EV-related SPACs already, Nikola obviously being the big one. A lot of people don't want to miss out on that. People are now beginning to really understand that there could be an awful lot going on behind the scenes, and the fact that there isn't much news could actually be good news. And we can clearly see by the average volumes that there are more and more institutions getting involved in the company, which again comes back to retail investors building more confidence and also putting their money into the share. So that's kind of the basic stuff that's going on that is really easy to find out. Now let's get into a few points from this forum. First thing I really want to show you guys, okay, is this right here. The timing of the next financing event, okay, between the 14th of September and the 30th of September. And the probability of that next financial event sits at 95%. Now, a financing event could be many things. For one, it could be issuing new shares, for example, okay? Which obviously isn't something that people want to see, blah, blah, blah. But what it realistically is going to be is the merger happening. We thought it was happening towards the end of Q3 in the first place. So this here is really making it quite obvious that the merger should happen within the last 2 weeks of September. This is something that a lot of us retail investors would never find, okay? Most of us wouldn't. We'd never find this information, but institutions literally have people whose job it is to read these reports inside out, day in, day out. And now that they see a 95% chance of the merger happening at those dates, they could be very happy to go ahead and pick up more shares. And that is what I think is happening right now. And I do think that as this becomes more and more public information, that the merger is now pretty much set in stone for the end of September. Not only will it be the institutions and hedge funds, but more and more retail investors will start to get involved, partially because of the fear of missing out, because I think we all know that we should be worth more than we are now once the merger goes through. The remaining term was determined based on the remaining time period to maturity of the related convertible note with embedded features subject to valuation. But to me, this is the biggest piece of information that actually has come out, people. Because people are always worried about these SPACs. We're always worried, what if it does not go through? Or what if we just don't know when it's going to go through? What if it keeps getting pushed back further and further? But I think between seeing this information here and seeing so many hedge funds and institutions getting involved, it's going to fill people with confidence. It is for one going to fill me with more confidence, okay? When I initially bought into HYLIION, I thought it was super speculative. So I only had a very small position. I don't remember what it was, but it was very small. I've more than tripled or even quadrupled it since then, as my confidence got higher and higher. And I think that's something we've seen with SPACs a lot, as people get more confident in, for one, the merger actually going through, and for two, the company actually doing well. That's when people start to really load up. I would expect some crazy price action, okay, over the next week or so. Then we could well kind of start to consolidate, regulate out a little bit, until the back end of September. Here is what ownership in the company should look like, okay, once the deal is closed, okay? The historical rollover stockholders will own 100 million shares, okay, representing 61.87% interest. The public stockholders, not including any initial stockholders that own public shares, will own 14.39% interest. The subscribers will own 19.03% interest, and the initial stockholders, including Atlas Point Fund, will own 4.71% interest. That's what it's going to actually look like when it gets closed. Now, if you're a bull on HYLIION, okay, and you're getting so consumed by all of the good news and all of the promising things that people are saying, I highly advise you go read page 29 through page 69. That is the risk factors, okay? When getting involved in a SPAC or any relatively speculative play, it is very, very important to understand the risks. I would argue that it is more important to understand the risks than the prospects, etc, etc. So there obviously is a whole lot more you can look through here. Keep in mind, this has essentially been out for over a month now. This is just the updated proxy, but that one update in regards to when the merger is actually happening, I personally think is massive. I really do think that is why the stock's price is moving. I think all of the big institutions and hedge funds went through that 14A filing. They saw that the merger is pretty much guaranteed to happen in the back half of September. They started investing. Retail investors noticed this, okay? The institutions started to push the price up. Fear of missing out kicks in, and people bought in. Do I think there's going to be a significant pullback? Honestly, not really. I don't. I think that a lot of people who wanted to get in for the initial pump are out now. That's why we saw this initial sell-off. We consolidated for a little while, you know, people trying to build their positions, the people who didn't believe starting to sell, people who wanted to get in started buying, and it somewhat evened itself out. And now the merger date is getting closer and closer, okay? More and more institutions are getting more and more bullish. I believe that when HYLIION starts publishing more and more news, people are only going to get more and more excited. But that is what I personally think brought this stock's price up over the last couple of days. What I will say, guys, is I think a lot of people are getting their hopes up too high in regards to what is going to happen when the merger happens. I've seen a lot of people predicting $100 plus price targets, and honestly, guys, that just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. Do I see a world where we potentially go up 100% from these price points? Yes, potentially. I see a world where we hit $40 or $50? Potentially. At this stage, I don't think anything is guaranteed, and I think expecting a $100 plus would be ridiculous in all honesty. I mean, if you just start reading the risk factors, the first things we see, okay? HYLIION incurred a net loss of $9.6 million for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2020, and it has incurred a net loss of approximately $43 million from January 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2020. HYLIION believes that it will continue to incur operating and net losses each quarter until at least the time it begins commercial deliveries of both its hybrid systems and its Hypertruck ERX system, which are not expected to begin until 2021 and 2022 respectively. So realistically, guys, how can we expect the stock's price to go up that much when for the better part of a year or so, we're still going to be making considerable losses every single year? They more than likely will have to go after additional financing. The easiest way they're going to be able to do that will be through issuing new shares. Your shares and my shares are going to get diluted. All I'm trying to get across, guys, is that, you know, if you're investing in this company, that's fine. I'm investing in this company. I'm investing in this business for the long term. If you're investing because you're hoping to make 400% when the merger goes through, I think it's quite ridiculous. I don't think that's going to happen. A lot of people think it's going to be the next Nikola. I don't think we're going to see the next Nikola. I don't think we're going to see that kind of pump and dump happen for a very long time, people. Just the fact that they are incurring these losses, so be it. They're not actually massive by any means, but still they are incurring them, and they will do for a considerable period of time. I just don't see it going anywhere crazy. Again, I know sometimes things don't make sense, like what we saw happen with Nikola, but I don't think that's happening again, people. And again, please do remember, I am a bull, but I strongly urge you, if you do want to get more of an idea of why I don't think we're going to see any crazy valuations when the merger goes through, just read through these risk factors. Now, what I will say is the majority of them are just stuff that you have to put out there. I mean, it's part of what you have to do. You're obliged to do it, etc, etc. You have to let everybody be aware of all of the risks. A lot of these risks go for literally every single company in the world who just goes public, especially if you're going public through a SPAC. But yeah, just make sure you know all of the information. But guys, that is it. That is why I believe we are seeing this price action and what I believe could happen going forwards. So guys, hopefully you did enjoy that video and I was able to give you some value and insight into what is actually going on, and I was able to tell you more than just it's fear of missing out. HYLIION is a very exciting company, okay? Again, I am invested and I really do think it is exciting, but just make sure you're aware of what is going on, especially when it comes to SPACs or even EV or any sort of somewhat speculative or even relatively new company. It's very important to understand what you are getting yourselves into, because it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Let's just say that. But anyway guys, thank you so much if you stuck around and watched to the end of the video. Really do hope you enjoyed. You, my friend, are a true legend and I appreciate you so much. I hope that you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for tomorrow's video. Peace.